21st century. Disease, pollution, global warming, terrorism, hunger, and a lot more. Right now, I have just tricked your brain to think of the despondent, gloomy images, something just like this. Well, yes, it is a trick, because the images that you have just visualized are the result of the data and the information that has been fed to your mind previously, and it is the result of your instinct. We humans have a captivating ability, the ability of natural or intuitive ways of thinking or acting, or better said, instinct. Well, we are not the only ones that are blessed with having an instinct. Animals are as well, but what makes a difference is the fact that we humans are able to differ our instinct. We are actually victims of the negativity instinct, which in this case is our tendency to notice the bad more than the good. Every day, we are fed information from social media, from our surroundings, from everything. Everything goes through our mind at least once. Maybe twice, but the thing is that our brain will always remember the things that are more negative, because this is actually a principle of survival. Every day, as we scroll down on social media, we will at least see one image of hunger, of pollution, of big plastic, or of global warming. We turn on the TV and we actually hear about the news, about global warming, about how we are destroying our planet. And then, as we grab a snack, we don't really realize that the package says that it's environmentally friendly and it is naturally degradable. Well, I am no good with statistics and data, and after all, we have to admit that it is boring. I am not going to show you charts and graphs of how much the world has improved. Instead, I want to share a story, a small story about a small change. Last year, I became aware of the fact that our planet is struggling. Pollution, deforestation, plastic pollution, and furthermore. But the way that I actually got aware of these is quite inconvenient. I wanted to make a science fair project, but I had no idea how to do it. Until the moment that me and my friend realized that actually our city was struggling with waste, as did most of the world. Why not, we thought. But no possible solution was actually visible. We searched information, observation, and this time we thought that we had it. Despite the fact that we humans pollute the environment in a lot of ways, we sometimes do it because of ignorance. All over the world, mainly in farmlands, after the harvest of a lot of grains, just like rice, the byproducts are left on the ground, and the worst is the fact that they are burned. In this way, this contributes to global warming by release of a lot of greenhouse gases such as carbon and methane. So we considered this and we thought, what can we do to stop this atmospheric pollution and to use the waste to make something out of it? Well, the rice straw is actually really rich in cellulose, and cellulose is a material that we can use to make cardboard or paper. But more than this, the rice root system is rich with starch, and the starch is the main component when it comes to biodegradable plastics. All hyped up, we took off to Kočani, the city which is the main producer of rice in Macedonia. So, we collected the rice, the roots, and the straws, and we came back and hit the lab, and we had no idea what to do. Most of the days, we would just sit and stare at the mess that we had just created. A ruined microwave, broken beakers, and an almost burned desk due to the fact that we almost set our lab on fire. Well, the idea was there, but we didn't know what to do with it. After a lot of failures, we had learned our lesson. This time, we were able to produce the very first whole straw cardboard paper. In this case, we learned, and on the second case, we learned even more, because after 4 failed experiments, we were able to actually produce the biodegradable plastics, and in order to test it, we had to observe. So when we tested our biodegradable plastic, it turns out that it was not only biodegradable, but it also was an organic fertilizer. This experiment opened the doors for me and my friend to travel the world. Actually, we traveled to East Africa and to the United States, in which cases we were able to share our ideas and to discuss about huge global problems. But actually, we were able to provide solutions about that. For us, this was just a small science project, but when applied in real life, its effect can be incredibly bigger. Let's take China for instance. First of all, China is the greatest pollutant with plastic. Most of the plastic that is actually produced and used in China ends up in the ocean. China as well destroys a huge amount of its forest for the paper pulp industry. But the good news is the fact that China has 3 seasons of rice. This idea is not just about China, it's also about other countries that produce rice. Let's say African countries. Countries like this can make a huge step environmentally, industrially, and economically. So we can all try to fight the struggles that we are facing. No longer do we have to destroy our forests to make paper, and no longer do we have to burn the fields to get them clean out of the byproducts. Now we can use the byproducts of rice to produce biodegradable plastic that can help us as a fertilizer, and we can also produce paper that is produced organically and in a green way. This idea may seem quite weightless when it comes to such a big problem, but let's remember that it's the small things that add up to make a big change. This journey made me realize the fact that the world is improving and it is getting better. We have gone from no electricity to producing electricity from solar power and from methane gas. We have fought hunger and malnutrition, and we are doing quite well at it. We have also recovered from the ozone hole. The ozone hole which was destroyed, the ozone layer which was destroyed a couple of decades ago, is now doing well and recovering. All of this is not on the news. The positivity and the news like this don't get as much attention as big negative things. Even if they would get attention, we wouldn't pay attention to them, because we as humans tend to notice the negative more than the positive. But instead of obsessing over global warming and such big problems, let's move on to taking action. Instead of sitting home and obsessing for the bad news that are on TV, let's turn our head from that to designing a science fair project to fight global warming. Because we are all responsible for this. All as citizens of Earth, a grandmother, an ecologist, a high school kid, we all can make a small change. Maybe reduce the amount of water that we use, or reduce the organic waste. All of this can be done if all of us take action. Wishful thinking isn't going to make the world a better place. Only taking action will. Thank you.